my show on Saturday nights called Saturday Night Cigar Lounge. You never know what we're going to talk about. It's always a fun time. That's Saturday Night Cigar Lounge, Saturday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, here on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
At Independent Journal Review, we publish news that is objective, fair, and entertaining. As one of the top websites in the United States, it's our duty to bring the absolute best to our readers. Readers like you. IJReview.com, your number one source for news and entertainment.
Hi, this is Matt Lewis from the Daily Caller, and you are listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio.
Hi, I'm Dustin Hoyt with America Our Way, and you can hear me right here on Vigilant Liberty Radio at 10/9 Central on Thursday nights. We bring you the best in political commentary from the right-wing, conservative, libertarian perspectives coming together and bringing the best content on the internet. Be sure to tune in every week for your favorite shows. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Lachlan Marquet of the Washington Free Beacon, and you are listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio.
At Independent Journal Review, we publish news that is objective, fair, and entertaining. As one of the top websites in the United States, it's our duty to bring the absolute best to our readers. Readers like you. IJReview.com, your number one source for news and entertainment.
This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to call in this segment, please do. The number's 412-567-6879. Or, while we're on the line, this is what we obviously did with Andrew. If you've got comments and some feedback, would like to join in the conversation, do so via our Twitter feed, which is at The Right Mics. Now, we immediately pivot. We've got another rock star guest, editor of townhallfinance.com, has got his own radio show. I'm looking at a handful of articles right here, all of which townhall.com I've bookmarked for years. Michael Schaus, welcome to the show.
Hey, Michael, how are you guys?
Great, welcome.
So what I want to do, man, is I want to get right to this. And the first article that I wanted to talk to you about was one, and this is what we're going to do, man. I just want to, when we have a guy like you on that has stuff to say, that we're reading about it, I just want to have the opportunity for you to tell us what you were thinking and what kind of your insight is. So Obama is suing companies for complying with Obamacare. You know, I was under the mistaken impression that with the exception of a very, very short-term glitch with a couple of the websites, I thought Obamacare was really, 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 really doing well. Maybe I've kind of missed it. What's the deal with the Obama administration suing companies?
Well, this is kind of the administration's hobby. They turn suing companies into just a career choice, apparently, for people in the Department of Justice. Honeywell is the major company that's being sued, and there are two smaller firms. In Obamacare, I know this is hard to believe, but in the 2,700 pages and all the thousands of pages of regulations, some parts of it might contradict other standing U.S. laws. And apparently there's a wellness provision where you can, as a business, you can offer your employees the opportunity to quit smoking and you get a deduction on the premiums. Well, that is in violation of the Americans Against Disabilities Act. And apparently the Department of Justice felt that they should start suing Honeywell for following Obamacare because Honeywell is now in violation of the ADA.
So is it a matter of companies like this have to pick which battles they want to fight or pick which laws they want to violate at the same time following others?
I think more what it means is, I added this in my column at one point. I said Honeywell could probably rethink their stance on Obamacare because they've been pretty supportive of the president and of Obamacare in general. They should probably rethink it, except that they might be setting themselves up for an audit too. We're kind of in this weird world as far as the Obama administration is concerned, where the only thing that keeps you from getting in trouble nowadays is whether or not you make friends with the right people. There are just so many laws that they can find something you're going to be doing wrong.
The thing is, I mean, Housen, you said, companies pick and choose, kind of a smorgasbord, if you will, what they want to follow and what they don't as it relates to Obamacare. It's almost, Michael, to your point, it's almost the other way around, Michael Schaus, that is, that the government, the Obama regime, if you will, picks and chooses not only which laws it wants to enforce, but which people it wants to sue for whatever laws it wants to sue them for. This is Twilight Zone stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, make no mistake. When Eric Holder decided that he was going to sue somebody like Ally Bank, this was a few years ago. Eric Holder decided to sue Ally Bank for discriminatory lending practices. And all Ally Bank really did was set up banks in the wrong part of town. The Department of Justice did not look at any loans that they actually made. They didn't look at any of the loan qualifications that were justifying the loan practices. All they said is, given the geography and the demographics in that area, it looks as if you're loaning mostly to white people, so we're going to sue you for $100 million. And the DOJ has been operating this way for a while under the Obama regime, and Obama is obviously encouraging it. And that's what happens when you get way too many laws on the books. You're bound to be breaking some of them.
It's almost as if negotiating through the economic marketplace today, it really is a function of establishing and maintaining and feeding and carrying the right crony relationships, so as to avoid Department of Justice or Homeland Security or the Internal Revenue Service. I mean, it's a pit of vipers that you have to negotiate, the least important of which is actually doing commerce.
Right. It's the same story when you start looking at the green energy companies and the way that they've been asking for subsidies from the federal government. Big business by itself is not really that bad. I mean, for example, it's a whole lot easier to return stuff to big businesses than to a small mom and pop store. So big businesses aren't really the problem. It's when big business gets in bed with big government. And in today's world, especially in today's world, that seems to be the only way that as a big business you can really expand your business, expand your commerce, is you get some crony laws passed. You get in bed with certain politicians or the people that are in charge.
Yeah, and it's and at one, I suppose at that point is not being in executive or some sort of crosshairs, as you put so aptly in your column. That is actually more important than improving your product or increasing your market share or providing something that consumers want. It's keeping your head correct with regards to the various different issues of compliance and regulatory affair.
Yeah. When you look at the IRS example, the IRS targeting scandal, and they were going after all these conservative groups, the real lesson that we should take away from that, aside from the fact that there are a lot of corrupt people in government, we should take away from that the fact that with 74,000 pages of tax code, it's really easy for corruptible people in power to manipulate that, to harass businesses or nonprofits that they don't like. And we're seeing the same thing happen under Obamacare. There are so many regulations involved with the Affordable Care Act that this administration can kind of pick or choose which laws they're really going to take a look at, which laws they're really going to enforce, and what businesses they're really going to hold to a high standard.
And it gets back to, as we said, on both sides of the equation, picking and choosing what's going to be enforced and what's not going to be enforced. But again, that's blowing it up to the next level. That's exactly what this administration has done from the beginning. I mean, from DOMA, which Defense of Marriage Act, until Supreme Court ultimately ruled it unconstitutional. Obama, out of the box, told Eric, my people, Holder's justice, told Holder, don't defend it. To the DREAM Act, which never got out of Congress, Obama unilaterally enacts it himself, all along deciding which immigration laws to enforce, which not to, and then of course the de facto amnesty upwards of 5 million people. It's illegal aliens. I mean, it's been like this. It's been like this, and the toothpaste is out of the tube. One wonders, and we'll move on to the next article here, but one wonders, now that this toothpaste is out of the tube, even if a Republican wins the White House in 2016, Michael Schaus, I think this guy is setting dangerous precedents for the presidency. That was tough.
Yeah, I think he's setting very dangerous precedents, and it's something that even people on the left have started to recognize that. Barack Obama's White House is asked about whether or not a future Republican president could say, you know what, we don't like these provisions of the tax code. We're just going to let rich people not pay their taxes. And even Democrats, even liberal Democrats, even big fans of Obama are all of a sudden stepping back and saying, this is kind of scary stuff because we know that we're not going to have power forever.
Yeah, and that's going to be, the howls and cry from the Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid, and the leader of the Democrats in the House, Nancy. If there's even a tiptoe around a hint of a possibly in the same neighborhood, something on the Republican side, those heads will explode. Now, one thing I want to do, we spend a lot of time here, Michael. It's stuff that makes our head explode. It's stuff that's upsetting to us. It's stuff that really gets our goat. Every once in a while, it's rare, but every once in a while, some news comes down that has the ability to really punch a couple of buttons, several buttons that feel good. And this goes back, a couple of weeks. But you wrote this story about one of the implications of Black Friday sales. And the thing that I loved about it is that, number one, I could imagine leftists all over the country's head explode. I like a good capitalism for the win story. And I like a good Second Amendment for the win story. And this, this is not something that MSNBC led with the weekend after Thanksgiving, but you wrote about it. Tell us some good news that happened in the retail front right after Thanksgiving Black Friday sales.
Well, first we should take a second and just kind of bask in the mental image of Mike Bloomberg crying himself to sleep. Because that's what happened after Black Friday. We hit record numbers of background check. I mean, record numbers of background checks for firearms. People were rushing out to, nothing says Merry Christmas like an AR-15 apparently, and there were over 145,000 background checks.
Sorry to laugh so loud. Please go ahead.
No, I mean, yeah. So it was great. As a guy that really likes my Second Amendment rights, and I'm hoping that my wife was one of those background checks because I've been sending her emails about all the guns that I want. She actually pointed out to me that a lot of people, there were a lot of sales for guns, and I started looking into the FBI numbers, and it was the second busiest day for gun sales in history. The first one being right after Barack Obama got elected, but over 145,000 background checks on Black Friday alone. And that doesn't even say how many guns were sold, because many people were doing 3-4 guns on one background check.
Right.
So it's nice to see that. I guess good old traditional